Hey everyone, welcome to another video. This video is a little bit different. I've never done one of these before, but I really want to, so I'm doing it. Currently, it is December 30th, 2024, so it's not the last day of the year yet. So, you'll see why I'm saying it like that in just a moment. But anyway, 2024 is coming to a close, and I wanted to make this video to talk to y'all about all the books that I have read this year. And I hope to make another one of these next year, and hopefully I will have read more books next year. I didn't read quite as many this year as I would have liked. Excuse me. So the way I'm going to do this is I have on these note cards here a list of all the books that I have completed. So I'm going to give you the name of the book. I'm going to pull it off my shelf. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to give you a basic summary of what I think of the book. I keep looking over here at the screen, but the camera's right here. And so it looks kind of weird because I'm not looking at y'all when I'm looking at myself. If I look at the camera, then I'm looking at you. All right, anyway, I'm going to give you a basic idea of what I think of the book. Then I'm going to give you an overall rating. Then I'm going to tell you the number of pages that were in the book. And let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? So we're going to start with number one. The first book that I finished this year was The Rising. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. The Rising, written by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. This was an alright book. It's not 100% biblically accurate, as you will see is my theme with the books in the Left Behind series. I give them a not perfect rating, but a good rating overall. The prequel books, there are 3 books that come before the Left Behind series. The prequel books overall I'll rate a little bit lower than the series because I like the series better. But let's see, where was I? There are 380 pages in this book, and I'm rating it overall 7 out of 10. Because like I said, it's not 100% biblically accurate, and I don't like it quite as much as I like the Left Behind series, but overall, it was a good book, and I do recommend the series. That was The Rising. The next book that I read this year was Left Behind. It's the official first book in the Left Behind series, also written by Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins. They're all written by the same 2 guys. And like I said, I like the Left Behind series. Not 100% biblically accurate, but it is a good series. This book has 468 pages. Don't know if I said this before, but I'm going to list the pages in each book, and then at the end I'm going to give you a page count, how many pages I read this entire year. Excuse me. So anyway, I rate this one an 8 out of 10. Pretty good. 468 pages. Not 100% biblically accurate, but it is a good book. The Left Behind series is meant for adults, so it's not necessarily for kids, although I would say that some teenagers could read it. I started reading the series at the age of 12, so I guess it depends on the person. The next book I finished this year was Tribulation Force. That's the second book. This is also part of the Left Behind series, and I also rated this 8 out of 10. Again, good book, not 100% biblically accurate, not meant for kids, but nothing wrong with teenagers reading it. This has a total of 300 pages. I have it written down here on my notes as well. I don't have to open the book every single time. All right, the next book that I finished reading was Sea of Time, and I have that over here. This book was written by Will Hubble. Good book, not the best. This is not written from a Christian's perspective. This guy kind of has an evolutionary understanding of the origin of the universe, which I do not agree with. And so that lowers the rating a little bit. Another thing that I'll say about this book, it is definitely not for kids. There are some scenes in there that I wish I hadn't read. So I not for kids. Let's see, pages 359 pages in Sea of Time. It is an alright book. It kept me turning the pages. I wanted to know what happened next. And this is actually the second book I found out. There was a first book that I have not read. Don't know if I want to read the first book, though. Like I said, it's not meant for kids. So I gave this one an overall rating 6 out of 10. Let me stick that back on the shelf there. And that was number 4. So the fifth book that I finished reading this year was House, written by Frank Peretti and Ted Dekker. It's an alright book. Let's see. I keep forgetting the name of the genre. It's a not paranormal. What's the it's kind of like a horror thriller. Let's see. I think it probably tells you what it is somewhere in here. Supernatural, that's what I'm thinking of. It's a supernatural thriller. Good book. It's also, it deals with some biblical themes, but it's not, it doesn't touch on it necessarily properly, not 100% biblically accurate. Oh, hey, there is a CD-ROM in the back. That's cool. Let's see, it has a total number of pages, 372. And it was a good book, kept me turning, I like it. Also not great for kids, but I'm sure some teens could read it. I gave it an overall rating 7 out of 10. House. Let's stick that back here, and the next book I read was The Regime. This is part of the 3 books that came before the Left Behind series. The Regime, Tim LaHaye, Jerry B. Jenkins. Has a total number of pages, 389, and again, not 100% biblically accurate, not quite as good as the original series, and so I rated this 7 out of 10. And the same thing for the next book I read. Let's get that on there. The Rapture. It's the very next book. Good book. Same rating, 7 out of 10. It has 389 pages. Let's see, the next book I have in here is Wimpy, Weak, and Woke. Let's see if I can pull this off of here. This shelf I have up here is like super tightly packed, and so I need a new shelf. But let's see if I can get this out here. Wimpy, Weak, and Woke, written by John L. Cooper. He is the lead singer in the Christian rock band Skillet. Some of y'all probably heard of it, some of y'all probably haven't. It's a good band. Good book as well. I really liked it. It was an eye-opener. And I highly recommend it. It has a total of 335 pages. And this took me forever to read through. I don't know why. Once you get into the flow of reading it, it is easy to read. It's just, I had difficulty getting into reading it. I'm not sure why. Excuse me. But it was a good book. I rated it overall 9 out of 10. The only reason it's not 10 out of 10 is some of the things he said I didn't 100% agree with. It doesn't necessarily mean that he was wrong. It's just I didn't see eye to eye with everything that he said. But it is a good book. 9 out of 10. Wimpy, Weak, and Woke by John L. Cooper. Let me stick that back on there. Oh, shook my entire shelf. All right, let's see. Next book, Jane Eyre. Great book. I love this one. You've probably heard me say it before on some of my live streams. This is my favorite book of all time, other than the Bible, of course. It's a classic by Charlotte Bronte. I think that's how her last name is pronounced. I'm not 100% sure. But it's a really good book. Also a bit difficult to read. It was written back in the 1840s. So it's got some stuff in it that's a little difficult. And some French, which I don't speak French, so. But it is a good book. I really liked it. And I gave it an overall rating of 10 out of 10. Really good book. Has a total of 466 pages. I don't know if I already said that or not, but I'm saying it again anyway. So Jane Eyre, highly recommend it. My favorite book. The next book that I finished was Nikolai, also from the Left Behind series. And as I did with the rest of these, I rated this one, because it's actually part of the series, 8 out of 10. There's a total of 270 pages. And again, I like the Left Behind series. Not 100% biblically accurate, but it is good overall. Not necessarily meant for young kids, but teens can read it. And it is meant for adults. Let's see. The next book that I read was God Rest Ye Merry Soldiers. I bought this at what do you call it? Like an antique mall or whatever. Where is it? Oh, there it is. It's behind this pile of books I got right here. Let's see if I can pull it out of here. There we go. I got it. God Rest Ye Merry Soldiers. And it's a Civil War story, Christmas time. And that's why I bought it. It kind of intrigues me. Honestly, I like everything 19th century, and so naturally, learning about the Civil War is something that I like. Written by James McIver, by the way. I rated this an 8 out of 10, and there's a reason that I did that instead of 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. It was kind of difficult to read and follow. And also, it didn't go quite into as much detail as I would have liked. It is a good book, but it's not quite as detailed as you would think it would be. And again, it's a little hard to follow in places. But it is a good book. 158 pages. So I did like this. And I don't know, I might read it again someday. But probably won't read it again anytime soon. Let's see if I can... Yeah, sometimes I have trouble sticking things back on the shelf. Alright, the next book I read... You know, I should have thought about moving this pile of books before I started this video, because this pile of books is kind of in the way. Let's see if I can get it. Here it is. Through Gates of Splendor. Written by Elizabeth Elliot. Really good book. It's about Jim Elliot, which is Elizabeth's husband, and the 4 other missionaries that were killed by the Auca Indians. That was back in 1956, I believe. And I really love really love that story. It was neat seeing it from the perspective of one of the wives of those 5. Of the 5 missionaries, I really like Nate Saint, and there's a book about him called Jungle Pilot by what's his name? I'm drawing a blank as to what his name was. Russell T. Hitt, that's his name. It's called Jungle Pilot. Really good book. I didn't read that this year, so I can't put it on the list, but I highly recommend that one. But anyway, Through Gates of Splendor, really good book. I rated it a 10 out of 10. I loved this book. It's got 272 pages. And now I gotta stick it back in there. There we go. Got it. Let's see, what's the next book? Soul Harvest. This is also part of the Left Behind series. And per usual, 8 out of 10. 365 pages. You could read 1 page a day and get through it in a year. I really liked this book. Just about as much as I liked the other Left Behind series. But again, it's not 100% biblically accurate. And so I'm not giving it a full 10 out of 10 rating. I'm rating it 8 out of 10. All right, the next book I read this year was Eragon. It's a good book. This one isn't necessarily for kids. There are some themes in it that aren't appropriate for kids. It's not super bad. It's just, kind of gory, honestly. But it is a good book. It's got 497 pages, and I rated it a 10 out of 10 because it is a good book, very well written. Apparently there are more books. I did not know that. I might look into getting them. But I really enjoyed this one. So, Eragon by, what's his name? Christopher Paolini. Good book. Let's stick that back on the shelf here. And the next book I read was Byzantium by Stephen R. Lawhead. It's a good book, very well written. Let's see, it's got, excuse me, it's got 870 pages. So this is one of the longer books that I've read this year. And what did I rate it? I rated it an 8 out of 10. So this isn't necessarily appropriate for kids. There are some themes in it that aren't for kids. It's more for like adults, maybe older teens. And the guy who wrote it may have been Christian. I'm not 100% sure, but he looks at it from a Catholic point of view. Excuse me. And I don't believe Catholics to be Christians. There can be some Catholics who are Christians, but in general, I don't believe Catholics to be Christians because they add on to the gospel, and you can't do that. So, he looks at it from kind of a Catholic point of view. Now, granted, I don't know if that's actually the author's religion, or if he was just that good at writing. He made it sound convincing that that's what he believed. It might have just been he researched a whole lot so that he could make a good book. I don't know. But it does look at it from the Roman Catholic point of view. And so that brings it down a little bit in the final score. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. Byzantium by Stephen R. Lawhead. Ah. The next book I read was Where the Red Fern Grows. Almost knocked something off that shelf there. This is one of those books I've got where the cover doesn't exist anymore. I don't remember what happened to it. This is written by Wilson Rawls. It was a really good book. It's a classic. One that I really enjoyed from my childhood. This is a book that is appropriate for kids, although it is kind of sad in some places. And let's see. This book has 249 pages. I rated it a 10 out of 10. Really good book. Great story. Stick that back on the shelf here. Let's see. What's the next book I read? Hiroshima. Written by John Hersey. This one was a good book as well. Let's see, what did I rate it? What did I rate it? I rated it a 9 out of 10. This was a good book. I liked it. It it's like a look into history that you don't get to see in detail very often. We're all familiar with the atomic bombs that were dropped on Japan. Kind of ended the Second World War. But we don't really think much further than that. There was a lot that went on as a result of the bombs dropping, and this book kind of covers what went on. I don't remember why I rated it a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10, but I know that I did have a good reason for it. But I'll be honest, I can't remember why. This book has 152 pages. So it's a really good book. I liked it. I think, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the reason I didn't rate it 10 out of 10 was because it was a little difficult to read. I might just be making that up, but I don't know. Oh, almost out of water. Forgot to replace the water that I had drunk out of there. All right, the next book I read. Let's see if I can find this book. This is a smaller book. There it is. Yeah, this one's a really small book. There we go. Narrow Gate, Narrow Way by Paul Washer. It's more like a booklet than it is a book. This took a sermon of Paul Washer's and just turned it into book form. It has a total of 53 pages, so it's a really small book. But I rated this a 10 out of 10. Really good. I love Paul Washer. He is my favorite Bible teacher out of anyone. I like a whole bunch of those good Bible teachers, John MacArthur, Justin Peters, Todd Friel. I like those guys, but I like Paul Washer a lot more than I like them. And this was a good book. Let's see, what did I read next? Let me stick this back in here. If it'll even go. There we go. All right. The next, I'm going to pull all 3 of these off the shelf. So, I'm kind of shaking my desk there, sorry. Yeah, the next 3 books that I read were The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay, written by Suzanne Collins. And I really like these books. if I remember correctly, they're more meant for, like, young adults, teens age, but I'm sure younger teens can read it as well. Good books. They're obviously not written from a Christian perspective, but that aside, they're really good. Kind of eye-opening, you know. It talks about, it goes into, like, government taking too much power than they're supposed to. And, yeah, they're really good. I really liked the movies. That's why I was so interested in getting the books, because I really liked the movies. So let's see. The Hunger Games has 374 pages. Catching Fire has 391. And Mockingjay has 390. It's a good trilogy. She has another book out that I haven't read yet. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I kind of want to read. And then she's got another one coming out this year. I don't remember what it's called, but I also kind of interested in reading that as well. So let's stick these three back on the shelf here. Excuse me. Stick that over there. All right, the next book that I finished, actually the next couple books, let's just go ahead and pull all four of them. So Apollyon, Assassins, The Indwelling, and The Mark. That's number 5. 6, 7, and 8 of the Left Behind series, written by Tim LaHaye, Jerry B. Jenkins. I am rating these also 8 out of 10, as I did with the rest of them. Good books. Really love the Left Behind series, but again, not 100% biblically accurate, which, you know, there's a little bit of room for making up things, because there's the Bible doesn't necessarily give full details about everything, but there are some things that you probably just shouldn't go into detail about if they're not given. So that's why I don't give them a full rating. So let's see. Apollyon has 397 pages. Assassins has 412. The Indwelling has 323 pages. And The Mark has 380. And let's see, where's the next book? The next book I read... I'm not seeing it on my shelf here. Could have sworn Where'd I put it? Huh. There it is. I found it. Okay. I put it in a weird place for some reason. Anyway, the next book I read... sorry about that. The next book I read was Treasure Island. And of course, some of you will remember this because this is the book that I went through in my live stream. I live streamed one chapter per stream all the way through this. It's 34 chapters. Really good book. It's a classic. What did I rate it? 10 out of 10. Yeah, that sounds about right. I rated this a 10 out of 10. And this is another one of my books where the cover's kind of coming off. It has a total of 212 pages. Highly recommend this book. I love it. It's a classic. I'm going to stick this back where I found it, and I'm sure when I'm looking for it next, I'm going to have trouble finding it again. But oh well. Let's see. The next book that I read was Desecration. That is number 9 in the Left Behind series. Has a total of 405 pages. And I kind of feel like a broken record, but I'm going to say it again. Not 100% biblically accurate, but it is a good book. It's kind of meant more for older teens, adults, but I'm sure younger teens can read it too. I guess use discretion. One thing I'll say about the Left Behind series is you need to make sure you have a proper understanding of what actually goes on in the book of Revelation. And be careful not to read this series too much, because it might kind of shape the way you view Revelation, whereas Revelation should shape how you view the series instead, because the Bible is always accurate. This series is not 100% accurate, and yeah. So, I kind of find myself, there were times where I was reading through the Bible and realized, oh, I had that wrong. Or I'd be reading through the series and be like, that's not quite right. But anyway, it is a good series overall. 8 out of 10, and Desecration has 405 pages. And the next book that I finished reading is, where did I put this? There it is. Hard to pull off the shelf, excuse me, because everything's so tightly packed. But anyway, Fight Like a Man by Émile Easy Zwane. It's a really good book. This is probably one of my favorite books that I've ever read. Maybe in my top 5. Really helpful, and I'm probably going to read it again next year, and the year after that. Something that I want to keep fresh on my mind. I want to keep reading over and over. I rated this a 10 out of 10. No surprise there. It has 270 total pages. And, yeah, I really like this book. Highly recommend it. Fight Like a Man by Émile Easy Zwane. And, yeah, where did I get this from? Right here. There we go. Gotta stick it back in there somehow. I should really get another shelf, or find a way to empty one of these shelves down here that don't have books on them. So yeah, that's all the books that I have finished this year. However, there are a couple other books I would like to mention. This is my Bible, Legacy Standard Bible. Really good translation. I like it. Easy to read. And this is for all ages. I rated it a 10 out of 10. Favorite book of all time. I said earlier that, what's it called? Jane Eyre. Jane Eyre is my favorite book. But it's my favorite book after the Bible. I really love the Bible. Read it every day. Been reading it every day. Gonna continue reading it every day. Now, the reason I put this one here after I said, let me rephrase that. I went through all the books I finished. I have not finished this yet. It is still December 30th. Tomorrow, December 31st, I will finish this. I'm in Revelation, almost near the end. I actually created my own Bible reading schedule, and so I stick to that. And I actually just published my Bible reading schedule. It's available on Amazon. You can get it in hardback, you can get it in paperback, and you can get it in ebook. The prices for those: ebook is $9.99, paperback is $12.99, and hardback is $16.99. And you can go on Amazon and look for those. It's called a daily, it's called a 366 Bible Reading Plan, a daily guide to help you grow in the scriptures, by Nigel T. Fick. And I don't have a copy to show you. I ordered it, and it's shipping to me here soon, but it wasn't able to come to me before the end of the year. But you can look it up on Amazon. I'll try to put a link down in the description if I can. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I'll try. But yeah, I've got a Bible reading schedule on Amazon if you'd like to purchase that. And yeah, All right, this particular Bible that I have has 1,665 pages. And that's a lot of pages. It's the longest book I've read this year. And now, before I end off the video, there are some honorable mentions that I'd like to show y'all. So, honorable mentions, these are books that I was going to read or started reading but have not finished before the end of the year. It's unfortunate. I've got 4 of these books and a day and half an hour to finish them. So I'm not going to be able to finish them. But yeah, so let's go ahead and go through these honorable mentions. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Great book. I love it. I'd rate it a 9 out of 10. It's a good book. It's a little hard to read, but that can be expected from an older novel. Jules Verne he talked about some things that had to do with creation that weren't 100% accurate. He was one of those people living in the time where they tried to reinterpret what the Bible said based on what they were discovering. Supposedly, he says that the creation account didn't happen literally the way the Bible says. He says that God made the world evolve. I forget what I think that's called theistic evolution, which is not true. The Bible does not have any room for theistic evolution. Clearly states how the world was created, and evolution is not it. This book has a total of 382 pages. However, I am only 242 in, so I have another 140 some pages. So I'm not going to be able to finish this before the end of the year. You can see this is kind of ripped a little bit. It's another one of those books that's probably going to lose its cover in the coming years. But it is a good book. Like I said, I would rate it a 9 out of 10. I haven't finished it yet. I wish I could. I don't have the time this year. Let's see, let's stick it over here. And I'll show you another book that I started reading but did not finish. This is part of the Left Behind series. The Remnant. Good book. And I'm going to rate it 8 out of 10, like the rest of them. The number of pages in this book are 403. However, I am only on page number 107, so I'm about 300 pages away from finishing this book, which I very highly doubt I can do in 24 and a half hours. So, not going to be able to finish this before the end of the year, which is unfortunate. I wish I could have finished the Left Behind series. I probably could have, except that I spent a little too much time on YouTube. That's one of my goals for this coming year, is to spend less time on YouTube, really on social media in general. I am going to be doing my live stream thing. I'm going to read through a book, but other than that, I'm probably going to be inactive. I'm going to try to watch YouTube less. The other 2 honorable mentions, of course, here are the other 2 books in the Left Behind series, Armageddon and Glorious Appearing. Armageddon has, let's see, how many pages? 393. And Glorious Appearing has 398. Both good books. 8 out of 10. I was not able to finish them. Didn't even start them because I still haven't finished The Remnant, which is number 10. So, but they are good books. I have read them before. And that brings me to a total, if you count the Legacy Standard Bible, which I have not finished yet, but I will by the end of the year. This year, I have read 29 books, which is not my record. The most books I've ever read in a year is a little over 50, I think. It was like 54 books. I want to try to beat that if I can this coming year. And I do have a list here of books that I want to read next year. I think I've got a list of 32 so far. But we'll see. I'll read them all, and I'll do a kind of a review video or whatever, like I'm doing here next year. We'll see what happens. And I've been telling you the number of pages that each of these books have, but I haven't added the number up yet. So at the end of this video, I'm going to flash a number across the screen. That's going to tell you the total number of pages that I have read this year. As well, I'm also going to put on the number of books again, 29. And also the different authors that I have read this year. The number of authors anyway. I'm going to flash that across the screen as well. And yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. So hopefully I'll be able to do another one of these next year. 2024 was a good year. I really liked this year. There's been a lot of things that have been going on. So at the beginning of 2024, I was 18 years old, new adult. I'm 19 now. I'll be turning 20 next year. I'm kind of getting started in my adult life. It's kind of different, I'll be honest. There's a lot of responsibility in it that I wish I had been prepared for a little bit younger. But, of course, I guess it's different for each person. But, yeah, now I'm starting to take on all those responsibilities, and it's been interesting. But I really did like this year. And I do have a set of goals for this coming year. I'm not going to share those with y'all because some of those are personal. I'm not going to share them. But I will share just a couple of them. One of them is I want to spend less time on the internet. I don't know the number, but I've spent a lot of time on the internet, and I really want to bring that down. You don't really exercise your brain quite as much on the internet. It kind of messes with you. And I think it would be good to replace that time that I've spent on the internet with reading. So hopefully I can get more books done this coming year. Maybe upwards of 50 again. We'll see. That would be like a book a week, which I'm sure I can do. I've done it. There was one time I was reading through the Left Behind series, and literally I came to church every single week with a different book because I finished it throughout the week. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Sorry about that long ramble right at the end. I'm sure that was entertaining. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Thanks for sticking around to the end. And I hope to catch you in my live stream, which will be on January 1st. Which, by the time you're seeing this video, should be tomorrow. I'm not going to release this video tonight. Because I've got half an hour before this night ends, and I still got a little bit of my Bible reading I need to get done. I got to do some journal writing. I keep a journal. Highly recommend doing that. It's been really fun. I get to look back on things that happened in the year. Really enjoy doing that. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna close this off now. So stick around for my live stream, which will be tomorrow by the time you see this. And yeah, we'll see what happens next year. Hopefully I can read more books and spend less time online. We'll see what happens. So anyway, have a good night. God bless. And I'm gonna stop this video. My finger, see my finger? It's gonna slowly inch towards that red square right there. It looks like my finger's kind of going away from the camera. I guess that's because it is. The, what do you call that anyway? The recording button? Yeah, we'll call it the recording button. The recording button, sorry, almost knocked over my tea mug, or tea tumbler. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna press that button, square button. Ooh, this video's been going on for upwards of 45 minutes. Wow. If y'all are still sticking around to watch all this, y'all really love me. I appreciate it. Sometimes I can be a little crazy. All right, see y'all.